And we're back with another
hello.
ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the
time for Nate Pence's ad read. Hello, everyone. This is Andrew Dukowitz, beat reporter for Zone Coverage, covering the Wolves, Lynx, and Golden Gophers. This is another bonus edition of the Missing Lynx podcast. Mara Braun was on the show yesterday and got to look at me stare directly into the sun for 20 minutes. And now Jana, Kare 11 Hall of Famer, basically. Jana coming in to talk only Lynx things on a live stream where she's going to do her best to let that journalistic integrity go to the side as we talk about her favorite team. Jana, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Oh, 100%. I'm glad you were willing to pop on. You've had a incredibly busy day, at least from what I understand. But let's get into it. I sent you kind of a list of things I wanted to talk about. And the first thing I've just always been curious by is, how did you become such a diehard Lynx fan? Because I feel like as long as I've been watching Kare 11, you've been talking about the Lynx and making inside Lynx jokes.
Right. Liking the Lynx before the bandwagon got pretty big, which welcome everybody. You're always welcome as Lynx fans. The more the merrier. I became a Lynx fan because I'm a fan of women in sport. I'm a fan of basketball. So 22-ish years ago, when I came to Minnesota knowing no one in my mid-20s for this job at Kare 11, I always tell the story that the first friend I had was an incredible women's basketball team that the mainstream sports guys just weren't covering all that much. And that was the Minnesota Golden Gophers, led by Lindsay Whalen. Now that changed as that miraculous season, kind of unfolded itself and unpacked itself. But in the early points of that season and that magical run by a team with a starting five of all Minnesotans, I was covering those games because the sports department was covering the Twins, the Wolves, the Vikings, what have you. And, like I said, I didn't have any friends here. I hadn't met anybody yet. And so I just followed that team front to back and all the way to New Orleans for the Final Four. So it was just a natural progression. And I was a fan of the W in high school. I remember watching Rebecca Lobo. I think she and I are the same age when UConn won their title with my women's basketball team. So always been a fan, came on with that Gopher team as Whalen enters the W. I enter the W. Obviously, she didn't come to the Lynx straight away, which is when I had to say, see you, Linz. See you when you catch us on the backside. And really things changed when Cheryl Reeve came to the Lynx, and I was just hooked from then on. So it's been, 15 years, however long Cheryl's been here. I've been a huge, huge fan until I was going to almost every home game until the birth of my son and COVID. But this year certainly got some games back and went last year to some games, and just excited to see so many people around the country and here in Minnesota that are new, that are having a ball watching them. It really is. It's like falling in love. It's just so much fun to be around and then get into at the level like you do, Andrew. There's so much that it has to offer.
It's you mentioned, kind of coming to Minnesota and falling in love with that Gophers team. I feel like the Lynx team almost has the same vibe, for lack of a better word, of it's just this accepting place. I mean, there isn't a lot of like hate in the Lynx community, unless you're like the commissioner or like Liberty fans. But like other than Kathy and Liberty fans and the occasional Fever fan that says something in a comment, like this is a really inclusive place. And I'm glad you touched on that, because women's basketball, especially, that's what I have noticed being up close to it, is it's welcoming of everyone, whether you're straight, gay, LGBTQ, black, white. I mean, it's just one of the very few places on earth left that seems like it can give hope to humanity. And that's just kind of what I feel every time I'm at a Lynx game too. I wonder if you kind of get that same feeling when you're there in the stands, as opposed to, curtained off like I am there.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Andrew. And it's one that I think the most important thing I would say about that, at least in my opinion, is that the women's game got to this point on its own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And so they never tried, at least in recent years, the players. I'm not talking about the league and what happened early on when they tried to make the players look like Barbies. But this, especially this Lynx organization led by Cheryl Reeve, they are who they are unapologetically and honestly. It's incredible. So a lot of people, I think, the Star Tribune wrote about this. Kim Hyatt the other day wrote about this fan base and that you do kind of come into it. And it is a little bit different than at other sporting events because some people are coming in to this family in the Target Center that is the Lynx fandom as they want to be welcomed into that house because of the other things. Maybe it was the Studbudz being unapologetic, awesome leaders, queer, Black, masculine women taking over the world and doing so in a kind and amazingly hilarious and warm way. So some people came into that like, I'm into the Studbudz. Let me go check out the basketball. Some people were like, let me go check out the basketball because the basketball is the most pure form there is in athletics right now. So those two things coming together and then creating a fan base that's now even bigger than it was in those early years is really incredible. And I will say, too, that there is a through line, and I think you hit on it from that Gopher team, at least in my experience. From that Gopher team, I still see people at Target Center at Lynx games right now that I met on that run in 2003, 2004. It's the same people and new people, and they're all sitting and coexisting together, cheering for one team. There's a through line in the dynasty teams that not all of these people got to see, which I know Cheryl has brought up a couple of times because that was in and of itself some of the most amazing basketball I had ever seen. To witness Maya Moore play basketball was a gift I am so grateful to have walked this earth to receive. And I think that there's something in Lynx blood that had been missing since then that Cheryl had been building towards again. And we're here again, where you have a player's commitment to a we and not me. And then you have a fan base commitment to a we and not me. And my goodness, if society could just mimic, like if Cheryl Reeve could just be president, like a we and not me, an unselfish, full of love, full of self-expression, come as you are type of team.
You touched on the Studbudz, and I kind of want to touch on that a little bit more because
I did not touch the Studbudz. That I did not touch them.
You did. What they taught you how to do dubs in the chat. That is a Jana meme that'll live on forever. You looking at your
I still don't understand it, and to be honest, Dejanay's like, I don't know what it means, but it's
I think Cheryl's touched on it a couple times that just they have pulled back the curtain on. It's okay to be like unapologetically, authentically yourself. And I mean, in 2 years of knowing Courtney Williams, I don't think she has ever once not been herself when I've asked her something or talked to her or seen her in the hallway. Natisha Heidemann is similar, but she's a little bit more reserved until I think she gets to know you a little bit. But just how powerful is that? Like you said, I mean, they are two like masculine women that are really kind of throwing it in your face while you're watching it. I mean, they are not trying to be anything else than who they are. Just how powerful has that been? I mean, to see, again, like society has accepted them for being who they are, which I feel like is something that just doesn't happen a lot of times, especially on the internet.
No. Agree with everything you said, cosign, believe it. I remember the first time I saw the Studbudz, and it was pre the All-Star game. And I remember thinking, goodness, I'm old. Are people watching? And then thinking, this is funny. And I don't know why I like it. So I felt like, oh, I'm really like understanding this whole online streaming culture. But it's obvious, and it doesn't take me to say it. Others have said it with a far bigger platform. What they did at the WNBA All-Star game, to me, was almost magical because you saw the Studbudz being the Studbudz, and all of it was unfiltered. And it seemed like every moment that their camera was on, something happened that you couldn't have imagined. The dancing with the commissioner, the dancing with Coach Reeve,
AI alleged.
Angel
She's still
Reese,
trying to track that person down.
Right. T trying to get Angel Reese's number. I mean, Caitlin Clark coming in the chat, like everything that the internet was trying, the dark side of the internet was trying to interject into the women's game of pitting woman against woman and bad this, bad that. All you saw was joy from some of the greatest athletes in the world together. And it was fun. And everybody had a spot. You know, every type of person, every type of woman, every type of man, and every person in between, from the head of the W all the way down to T, who's not even on the team, but darn it, she got a scooter and she went along for the ride. It was so much fun that there was nothing the negative internet clapback could do to take it away. There was a nibble there for everybody that was all good and joy. And so we come back from that experience with this phenomenon that is the Studbudz. And the skeptic in me, knowing Coach Reeve in terms of how she coaches and runs her teams, I was like, oh, the Studbudz have one bad game and that bud's going to get lights out because she wants the focus to be on the game, rightfully so. It only elevated their performance. They only got better. And it seems every game get even better. The more famous they get, the better they get. And that's fun.
Yeah. It's something that I really value in the WNBA. Then, I mean, I cover the Wolves as well. This will be my first year on the Gophers beat, so to be determined on if it's the same there. But people are just so much more like vulnerable in the WNBA. I mean, Fee talking about being a mother or social justice, K-Mac talking about mental health and kind of her upbringing and how that affects her. Lan is going for a master's in psychology, and I think her thesis is due like this week on healthcare misinformation. I mean, it's so different rooting for this Lynx team and covering this Lynx team because they let you see that they're people. It's not just I'm watching this person play basketball and then I know nothing about them. It's you can go on TikTok and watch Jess do coffee reviews or Lan do coffee reviews or outfit try-ons. And like, how much has that elevated like the fan experience, just being able to see athletes as humans and not just a spectacle?
I think that a part of all of this increase in interest and viewership is also being driven by that part of it, in that it's somewhat inherent in women to share and not shy away from emotion and kind of a total person. And again, remember that the women in the WNBA, and this is not a knock on men in the NBA, it's just a fact that the women in the W are not multimillionaires.
Yeah.
They are pretty regular people. That's why you see them everywhere. You can run into them at the grocery store, driving not with a, chauffeur and jet setting and hanging out with Drake. I mean, maybe someday, but I think their regularness, especially that, being moms and stuff like that there's that aspect to it. They all live together in an apartment building in the city. So there's this almost like reality show aspect to it. They know that their success depends on one another. And I mean that not just on winning or losing games, but on a collective bargaining agreement that gets them the type of security they deserve as the best at what they do. So they have a relatability aspect. And then if you wanted to get into like the marketing and that aspect of it, it's been proven that, let's say Paige Becker says, I use X product and here's why I use it. And let's say it's secret deodorant. I don't know. I'm just making something up. But their work as influencers is far more impactful and creates a social media audience among people who buy things. And so they become a good investment. And I think you're seeing that. And so all of that is like rising them to the top in terms of like they are getting return on their investment, even though they were mocked for never being able to do that. The truth is that women can get things sold, women can build trust, women can be relatable. And so I think you have all of those things going on at the same time, but then you have that X factor that credit has to go to Cheryl Reeve as a general manager and her team of putting that team together. And we said it last year, and it was true last year. And this is the same group. Sans bringing in Dejanay, who just blended right in.
Yeah, immediately.
You want to be a part of it. They really like each other. They hang out with each other. They have each other's backs. So you can feel that kind of stuff. These are the intangibles that you can't buy. A super team, you can go buy the best players, but you can't guarantee that this cohesion that they have. And I just would urge people, this year especially, get tickets and go see them, because you will miss this when it's gone, and these don't last forever. I know that because I went through the dynasty seasons and savored as much as I can, but I can never get that back. This is lightning in a bottle.
Cheryl said that exact same thing a couple times of just it's lightning in a bottle, and it's almost a joke among the players now. They say they're driven by the power of friendship, but they say it as a joke, and then as soon as everyone stops laughing, they're just like, but actually that's our secret sauce, that all of us are rooting for each other as human beings, which you're right. It is something that you don't really see a lot in the NBA. I mean, you don't see it a lot in any other sport, quite frankly. They're at a stage where they are public enough to where there is access to all of them, but they almost haven't been, sheltered enough to have the cloak of secrecy, which, I was talking to Mara Braun yesterday, and I was kind of asking her about just, how weird is it that, I'm at a Gophers practice and they are all running perfect drills and everybody has a perfect jump shot. And then you go to a Lynx game and Courtney is dribbling the ball straight up and down all the way up to her chest and giving me a heart attack every time she's on a fast break because it's so not fundamental. But that's kind of just how the WNBA has grown, is just people have figured out how to make it work. Jana, I do want to get your touch, or I do want to get your sense on just the vibe of the team currently. But first, I do have to run a couple ad reads because bills.
Well, hello. Thank you, live stream Andrew. This is ad read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Lynx podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard, and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com.
So, Jana, I want to ask you, because we're recording this Thursday afternoon, and the Mercury loss is still fresh. But what was your reaction as that was happening? Because I haven't watched every Lynx game since they were founded, but I can't think of very many games that were like that under Cheryl Reeve.
They don't exist. I mean, with the halftime lead that they had, the Lynx were 61-0, having that type of halftime lead. So they've never had anything like that in that important of a game happen.
I mean, that's it. It's historic.
I mean, it's historic. You can draw up which play you want to dissect and what was done wrong and who did what, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Of course. And another thing is that I was curious the next day to see how it would be written about, because especially, when you get to this stage, this is when the writers that don't always write about you, or the people that don't always cover you, chime in. And so you're going to get hits, which is fine. They deserve those hits. And I think Coach Reeve would say the same. And I think the leaders of that team would say the same. We deserve what you're going to throw at us in terms of how we didn't succeed our goal and how we blew it. I think this team understands that they blew it. I think that this team understands more than perhaps other teams understands how they blew it, and that it's their fault and it's their problem to fix. I haven't spent a lot of time, like I didn't rewatch the highlights. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah.
Saw it in real life, saw it happen. I am so curious and confident in how they will respond to this, that I'm not letting it take up a ton of real estate in my brain. I don't know why it happened. I don't know why. It just did. And I don't think that they should be in their head about it. It sucks. It happened.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've been approaching it too, of just, it is not going to happen again. I am so confident that, that ensuing kind of shoot around film study the next day and their flight down to Phoenix today, they have probably spent a ton of time reflecting back on it and trying to figure out why the wheels just fell off and they couldn't get it back on. And if there's one coach on the planet that I would trust to get that right, it's Cheryl. I'll ask you, because we're coming down to our time here. What's your confidence level that they come out and win that game 3 and still advance to the finals?
You can talk to me as long as you want. My next interview can wait.
Too kind, Jana. Too kind.
I'm trying to, what I saw in game 2 in terms of, and I think that you talked about this, there is something changed with Fee. Fee and AT there was a Fee that came out that I think was the same thing that happened to AT in game 1. Fee got rattled, and I liked to see the passion, but I don't know how rattled it was. And so I think that, I put Fee up there with like Cheryl in terms of knowing what to do for game 3 and how to adjust her game and her mindset and lead her team. So I think that we might have unleashed a type of Fee that I don't know that Phoenix is even ready for on its home court.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic that she can get to that other level, because what I remember most, Andrew, after losing to New York in game 5 last year and doing post-game interviews with players, not that day, but the next day, Fee's is the one that stands out to me the most, because Fee was the one that it felt like she really, the tone of her voice that day was kind of what I saw in her face 2 nights ago. How did this happen? And this cannot happen again. And I think that she is the type of person and player, when something hits in basketball to her in a this cannot happen again phase, it doesn't happen again. So I think she's going to take that responsibility as our leader to make sure. And I think she surrounded herself. We are not a team of young players that haven't been here before. From the Studbudz to Lan to Mosh, we have veterans that know what to do. To K-Mac, they have a soul in them that knows that this work isn't done, and we have put together one half of certain games and gotten it done. And then when we only had one half the other night, we got embarrassed in front of our home court, and that shouldn't happen. And so what are we going to do to play 2 halves of basketball every single time we play until we get that 5th ring? Period.
I have been looking at it of a sense of, I think the Lynx whether they win a championship or not, this was something that had to happen, right? I mean, there is no easy championship. No one just wins every game on the way to a championship and doesn't deal with anything heartbreaking. And I think if the Lynx win a championship, this will be the moment they look back on of, we blew that lead and we decided that was it. We need to play better. I also think if they don't win it, this might be the game that they look back on and go, this is where things have started to crack. This is where, I'll be honest, watching that game, Courtney was calling her number a lot in the second half. Fee wasn't calling for the ball as much. T looked shell-shocked. Land looked shell-shocked.
Yep.
If they end up losing this year, I think this is the game where maybe those cracks are shown.
Yeah.
Now, what I think this team, why I'm more confident that this will be a galvanizing point to pursue them forward or propel them forward, is they're just wired that way. This isn't a group that gets down on themselves. This isn't a group that haven't had like life hardships. They're very close. So if I had to bet, this is going to be the thing that kind of sparks that finals mentality. But I'll let you close with this. Just one, how fun has this team been this year? I mean, you mentioned it, lightning in a bottle. And two, do you think they're getting that fifth banner up there?
I think you hit it right on the nose, Andrew. And I think we're going to find out what that loss at home in that way did to them on Friday night. And I don't say that just because it's the next game and it's the most obvious, but how they come out, and maybe not in the first minute or two, you're playing on an away court. It is the playoffs and Phoenix is hungry. And that is a big difference too. This postseason is bananas.
Yeah.
We're not the only one who wet our own bed.
Mm-hmm.
The Aces lost to the Fever in game one, and I mean got a thumping. We were down 7 in game one and came out in the third and fourth quarters. That game, Phoenix had its arms around it in the first half of game one, and we took it back. And so this is going to be a playoff run of inches, not miles.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a runaway super team, I don't think. This is going to come down to want, grit, stamina, not being injured.
Yep.
And so there's going to be some luck that plays into it, because I think that everybody still is playing like there's no tomorrow. And that may be if we don't have a collective bargaining agreement. And they could have that being top of mind, because they are none too happy with the WNBA as a league right now. So do I think they can? Yes. Do I think they have another level in them that we haven't seen yet this season? Put together for 2 halves, 4 quarters? I don't think we've seen it yet for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
In a lot of
games. I
think
Cheryl would agree with you. I think Cheryl would 100% agree with you.
We don't know their potential if they play Lynx basketball for 4 quarters.
It is going to be so fun to watch on Friday, because the best thing about playoff basketball is all of our questions will get answered. There will be finality. We will have answers.
Right.
Jana, thank you so much for coming on. I do want to just give you space, though. Anything you want to promote, any shows coming up you're really proud of, anything you want to get off your chest. I always try to give people space to promote what they want to.
I just support me in my job. I'm on Breaking the News every weeknight on Kare 11. We start about 6:35. It would be great. Even if you just turn on your TV and don't watch, those ratings count. That's the best thing you could do for me, is get me some job security so I can keep going to Lynx games.
I will piggyback on that. Even if you're not listening, as long as this is on your phone, it counts. So thank you to Lynx fans. Jana, thank you so much. And we'll have another live after the game Friday.
Yeah, we will. See you, buddy.
See ya.